existing. We've been filming photographers, musicians, dancers, writers, designers, how people can use creativity to resist war. And I had the opportunity to visit Gaza firsthand with the Gaza Freedom March, and I was appalled to see the destruction of infrastructure and the use of white phosphorus, the effects of the use of white phosphorus, how fishermen could not even fish off their waters. And I thought it was our moral obligation to continue this fight, so we supported the Gaza Freedom Flotilla, and I went as a filmmaker, as an activist, as a humanitarian aid worker, and we were filming throughout the whole process. We interviewed many, many people. We had over 600 passengers on our boat, and representative of over 40-something countries. So during the journey, I got to see that they were coming from all walks of life, and our common goal was to break this illegal siege, bring our token, you know, even if it was 10,000 tons, it was still a token of, you know, the humanitarian aid they needed, because at the end of the day, they want to have trade, they want to live like normal people. And it was very, very upsetting that the Israeli government, the first thing they did is to confiscate all our footage because they didn't want the world to know. And despite the danger, my crew and I decided that we were going to film and try to get this footage out. So this is what you're going to see. We are still trying to even restore some of the corrupt data, and even we'll be able to have a little bit more to show before the raid, how people were a peace boat and not a hate boat, how we were not there to lynch Israeli soldiers. We didn't even know they were going to come and start killing them.
Because we knew that around the world people would respond. At that point we thought only 5 people, which is bad enough, had been killed, but we knew that people would respond. The second thing we knew is that the political capital, the money that Israel has had in the bank, has been wasting and withering, replaced by the ugly reality of Benjamin Netanyahu and Avigdor Lieberman. And they're not attractive, even for many people in Israel, let alone elsewhere in the world. And in the last 4 years, the decline has been even more rapid. First, the assaults on the people of Lebanon ended in military and political defeat for the Israeli government. The assault on the people of Gaza ended in political defeat for the invading forces. It gave rise to a wider movement than ever before. And this later massacre, again, has devalued Israel's currency, Israel's stock in the world. And we knew this as we discussed together inside the prison. And it's that, I think, strategically, which opens up the possibility for further action. And truly a big step forward in the movement. Not one which will achieve all its objectives tomorrow, but one which I'm convinced can achieve the decisive, immediate objective of the full lifting of the siege on the people of Gaza. Already, they're forced to try to redefine the siege. Today, the Israeli government announced it was going to allow more goods in. It's very interesting when you look what they say they'll allow in now that have not been allowed in for 4 years. Children's toys are some of them. But the construction goods, and above all, the free movement of people and of goods and of capital, which is critical for the development of Gaza and Palestine as a free and independent entity, is something that they're not allowed prepared to happen. And we need to give a clear answer that nothing less than the full lifting of the siege will do. Anything else is a keep But we can see that this siege is tottering, and Gaza is crucial, I believe, strategically, not because it's the only injustice that the Palestinians face. The West Bank, the ethnic cleansing of East Jerusalem, the conditions in the camps, the very existence of the refugees, all stand in their own rights as unacceptable injustices. But it's strategically important because the other side made it strategically important in 2006, because by isolating Gaza, they hoped to strangle the hopes and aspirations and fighting spirit of the Palestinian resistance by isolating Hamas, which are the people who were chosen in a free and fair election by the Palestinian people. And therefore, the road to redeveloping a Palestinian unity, which can have much greater political weight, that road, to my mind, lies through the immediate objective of lifting the siege on Gaza. And various things, I think, flow from that, tactically, that I'd like to offer to the meeting as things we should consider as a way forward. First, the cutting edge of this movement, which has been the delivery of humanitarian aid in defiance of the restrictions placed on the shipment of that aid via land and via sea, absolutely has to continue, and continue in bigger numbers, and continue with greater coordination. By land, heading through Egypt, because let's be very clear about this, the border at Rafah is an Arab border. If the Rafah crossing was completely open, Israel could whistle in the wind. There would be no effective siege on the people of Gaza. And therefore pressure needs to be brought to bear upon those governments in the region who are complicit in the attempts to isolate the people of Gaza. Therefore, Viva Palestina will be the main organisers, in conjunction with partners, the biggest land convoy yet, leaving London shortly after the month of Ramadan, so around the 12th of September, from London, through France, Italy, Greece, into Turkey, through the Near East, down to Jordan, into the Sinai, and up to Rafah, aiming to take the construction materials and to open up the lines of trade and freedom of movement which the people in Gaza, the Palestinian people more generally need. This will be done in conjunction with, and there have been meetings in Beirut, international coordination, in conjunction with moves by a consortium of organisations to bring together simultaneously, travelling through the Mediterranean, like the land convoy, picking up support from the North Atlantic coast of Morocco, all the way through to Egypt and to the seaport of Gaza, the biggest flotilla yet, leaving simultaneously, aiming to be offshore as we're going through land. Friends and you friends here tonight to consider how an American, a New York City, New York State component to both the land convoy and the flotilla could be formed, could be fundraised for in order to make that possible. We're talking 13 weeks. It's not a long time, but we need to move very quickly if we're to seize this moment. Secondly, in reference to the struggle against apartheid, no, there came a time by the mid-late 90s, if I recall, not 2 miles away from here. And he said, there can be no peace between truth and falsehood, between tyranny and justice, between freedom and oppression. There can only be eternal struggle between them until justice is won and freedom prevails. This is what we need to have inscribed on what we're doing now. Yes. Nothing short of justice and freedom is acceptable, because without justice and freedom, there will not be peace in Palestine. If there's not peace in Palestine, there will not be peace in the wider Middle East. And if there is no peace, then instead, as the Syrian government just said, a wider threat of greater war in the Middle East, then there will be no peace in the world.